Hello, I'm Ashlee McCoy with the Real Deal Firm at Keller Williams Classic Realty. Come watch me boss.
With the ladies on top, we're breaking boundaries, making moves, no time for insecurity. No time. We're chasing dreams, creating legacies. Boss Ladies Podcast, where we speak our truth. Boss Ladies unite, we're reaching for the sky. Empowered and strong, we'll never be denied. From the boardroom to the stage, we're making history. Boss Ladies Podcast, it's our time to shine. Come and join the ride.
Welcome back to another episode of the Boss Ladies Podcast. I'm your host, Hope, where we highlight women in business doing incredible things. And as usual, like I say, I have another phenomenal, amazing woman here today. I'm super excited to talk with her. Her name is Ashlee McCoy. She's a realtor and a broker. Welcome, Ashlee.
Hey.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for
excited.
coming.
Yes.
And like I told you behind the camera, I'm loving those earrings.
Oh.
You see them, ladies? All the colors. Beautiful.
They're making noise in
They Well, you're here because you're a realtor and a broker, so we're going to jump right into it because I know there are a lot of people, men and women, watching this episode because of that.
Sure.
So I know you started with Keller Williams,
Yes.
but recently you opened The Real Deal.
Yes.
That's all about you now.
Yes.
Tell us about The Real Deal and how you got started.
Well, it's pretty unique, right? Because technically, Keller Williams is still my brokerage, who I license with. However, I am an associate broker where I started my own team, which is called the Real Deal Firm.
Love it. Love it.
Yes. So it's been an exciting journey. To be honest, one that I didn't think I would even be on. But it's been even more amazing just to see my own, personal growth and the growth in the people that are around me. So,
I love it. So what sets Real Deal apart? Before I go to that question, I just saw maybe an hour ago, you uploaded on Instagram another realtor that joined your team.
oh, yes. Octavia Bergman, shout out. Yes.
So you're growing already. I mean, just like that, you recently started The Real Deal, and here you are blowing up already. What sets you apart from other firms?
Listen, I'm so glad you asked me that because really, it's not even a secret sauce. Some of it I have to just say is the favor of God.
Amen.
And I don't even say that cliche, like literally. Probably today, if I, opened up my whole team, I could probably have maybe 10, 20 more people on it. Because I get people to ask me quite a bit. And I don't, not even boastfully, but in the sense of the culture that, God has given me to share with people and who join our team. It's really about God, family, and business, right? So we kind of have that leading from some of what Keller Williams, my brokerage that I'm actually really tied to, putting God first, making sure your family is there, and then your business. So we work hard to create that culture for sure.
I'm going to have to ask you to say that again in your camera. God,
family, then business.
that's the foundation. Because when we try to do it any other way, most times it crumbles.
For sure.
So y'all looking for a great place to work? Call Ashlee, the Real Deal Firm. So
Yes.
are there challenges that you experience being a woman having her own brokerage firm? Is it different working for yourself as a woman versus someone else?
It's different in the sense of probably my grit more so, because when you think about a 9-to-5 or when you work for someone else, a lot of times you'll show up, even more, straight for someone else. If it's a 9-to-5, the accountability there is so much stronger. But for me, I'm my own CEO, right? So if I'm doing wrong, I got to fire me.
Exactly.
So, so it can be tough. It has its challenges. One, being a woman and being in this industry, you have to find yourself kind of being aggressive, especially when it comes to negotiating and having conversations. And sometimes I'm in conversations with other men that are twice my age about what they should do to sell their home, right? And then they have a wife who's also like, well, who is this young lady?
This young lady, exactly.
So, but what I found is being confident And I have three things that I live by: grit, integrity, and skill. That's what I look at for in my business and what my principles. Because if you got the grit, and if you use integrity and you perfect your skill, it's really nothing you can't not have when you're working in business. So that's what I really hone in on, my skills. Even though as a woman in the industry, my skills are set apart, so you can't deny that, whether I'm a woman, man, black, white, right? So.
Right. I love your response, because I've been, like I said, before I invite ladies on, I research. And every piece of literature I've came across said you are kind, knowledgeable, and you sell homes quickly.
Okay.
So you say grit, skill, and integrity.
Yes.
Yes. So being in Orlando, because you're originally from West Palm Beach.
Correct.
Did you move from West Palm Beach to Orlando because of the market? Is it different?
I actually moved to Orlando from West Palm for school.
Okay.
So I moved here in 2006 and on a journey to own hotels. So that was really what got me here. The tourism, Orlando is known for that, right? So I ended up at school, went to UCF, finished, got my MBA, and then started my real estate company, and I just got really good at it. And
But you said hotel, so how we get from hotel?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that. Now, listen, don't call me out too much now. We on camera, but no, that's a great question. So the hotel dream and what's been in, it's still there for sure. As a matter of fact, the reason why I translated I was working at Disney at one of their hotels when I finished my undergrad degree. I worked at Disney, Animal Kingdom Lodge. I quickly realized I did not want to work in a hotel. Okay, so that was like, okay, yeah, this isn't for me. I knew I wanted to own.
Okay.
And that's actually what prompted me to do real estate, because real estate was what I knew. Okay, well, if you want to own real estate, you got to learn it.
Exactly.
So I started with residential, and I got really good at residential. And I kind of and I want to say by default, or really design in a sense, because it's been a blessing to me. But as I grow and I grow my wealth, hotels are definitely still on the
So it's still on the plate. We just didn't touch it yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question. My husband told me to make sure I asked it last night. I'm going to ask it right now, and then we'll get back to it.
I'm scared.
What in the world is going on in the market?
Oh.
Let me tell you, we bought a brand new structure in 2021. Very nice, brand new. No one ever lived on it. Mortgage rate was set. Was like, sure, we'll take it. And then sometime last year, we get a bill in the mail, and now the mortgage has increased about $800, and they're talking about city or what is that?
Was it, now it could be two things that normally most people don't know, and this is actually a conversation I just had with a client. So whatever you lock your property in for today, your mortgage, there's a very high chance the following year your mortgage is going to increase.
Wow.
One, simply because of the taxes. Your assessed value has now changed, because if you bought it if the previous owner had it and they had it for 10 years and they bought it for $200,000, your taxes that you're looking at that year that you're buying is assessed on a $200,000 value from that previous owner. But here you are coming last year buying this brand new home, even if it's land. So let's say brand new construction, the land was only bought for $40,000.
Oh.
Now you have a structure that you put on worth $400,000. So now county tax assessors, hey, assessed value, now that we're going to assess your taxes based on a $400,000 house, and that's where you're going to see your tax increase.
Who should have told me this? Should I have done my research?
Okay, so in the contract, right, there is a clause that says the buyer is responsible, not even your realtor. Now, granted, your realtor should. It's so much stuff when you're in this transaction, so I can't blame your realtor, right, or whoever assisted you with it. But it in the traditional standard as is contract and residential contract, there's a clause that says the buyer is responsible for determining what their assessed tax will be the next year.
Oh, the buyer.
The buyer.
Who knows nothing about real estate. The buyer, okay.
And you buying. They say educate yourself.
And that's true.
But no, you're right. And I do think that there should be conversations more about that. But to be honest, it probably would discourage some of the buyers if you sit down and say you're buying and you're already looking at that payment.
Right.
And then now to know that your payment could potentially increase another $600, $800, you probably would never even buy.
That's true. We would have said, we'll keep looking. Okay. Well, I just got my face up off the ground. I hope y'all are paying attention because I just learned something. Yeah. In the industry of real estate, is there a lot of continuing education? How do you stay up on what's going on in the market?
So in the industry, you're required every 2 years. You have to get your continuing education. They call it like 14 CEUs that you have to have every 2 years. And me personally, because I know the market is always ever changing and we're so based on the economy, a lot of things that we're affected by, I do think it's important as a realtor. I like to call myself a real estate wealth advisor.
Okay.
Right, because sometimes the word realtor, everybody is a realtor. Their cousin is a realtor. Everybody
So
has
true.
their license, right? And you don't know who
true.
to trust because you're like, okay, you just got your license last week. But it's okay, right? And I'm okay and I'm all for new agents.
Right.
I welcome you. But I also encourage people to get educated, right? Because you do your client a disservice when you just jump in and getting your license and you have no clue how to negotiate inspections and escrow. And sometimes we don't learn this in school about houses, right?
Okay.
So you don't go to school, you think about that. You don't learn any of this. And I always say smart is a relative word, right? So you're smart relative to whatever your industry is and what you may know. So when you come into this space of buying a home, like as a realtor, it's important that you know your stuff to educate your buyer to make sure that they're making the right decision, which repeat referrals do come from that.
I love that. You're a broker and a realtor. What's the benefit of being both? Do you need both? Would you suggest someone who's going into real estate to have both?
So, so you get your license first, right? And then you join the National Association of Realtors. So you become a realtor once you get your license and you do the certain application. Now, to become a broker, you actually have to be licensed for 2 years first.
Okay.
Okay, so a broker is someone who can literally financially exchange funds. You can do things like that when you have your brokerage, which is why some real estate companies, they say, you'll see realtors who say, well, my broker is Keller Williams, or my broker is, because Keller Williams has now positioned themselves financially through the SEC or through whoever to make sure that they can actually transact funds on behalf of someone. As a realtor, I really just can represent you and negotiate your contract. So I think it's important to sometimes have that brokerage license because God forbid if Keller Williams decided, hey, we want to part ways, you can go and start your own brokerage where you can now financially transact on a deal.
I love
so hopefully that wasn't too confusing.
Oh, no, I just learned something. My brain broke it down perfectly. So a broker pretty much becomes almost like a bank.
Correct.
You're your own bank, and then you finance your realtors, the agents.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I can say that way.
Okay, you're fiscally responsible for your agents.
Gotcha.
Right, because we can't necessarily touch any money when it comes to real estate as a realtor. But brokers, they can collect checks, they can have escrow checks, they can collect deposits, have accounts that they have for it. But just as an agent, you're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to essentially negotiate, represent the client, look at the deals, review contracts, things like that.
I hope y'all paying attention. If you're in a deal right now, all the information Ashlee is giving, I hope your realtor is doing the same. How important is it in networking in real estate? And do you network often?
I don't know. You shouldn't ask me that question because I'm bad at networking. It's super important, right? Because we're in the people business. And the people, when I do business, my business requires people, right? So I think I know networking is essential. I network with the people who do want to do business with me, like my clients. Like I have client appreciation events, things like that. I make sphere calls, as we say. So I do a lot of networking with the people who've done business with me and the people I want to do business with.
So do you do those yourself? Do you create the networking events yourself, or is this Keller Williams?
So that's, our team. So like our client appreciation events where we bring all of our clients who ever transacted with us last year or the year before, we plan those.
Awesome.
We have sponsors. We'll use like our vendors. They'll pay for the event for us, but we're able to bring in like different business owners, everyone who we've done business with, to be able to have conversations and then just enjoy their family and things like that.
Goes back to God, family, business.
Yes.
Aha.
In that order.
In that order all the time. Can you discuss marketing strategies that you're using now? You don't have to give away your secret sauce, but what are some things people in real estate should know how to maneuver right now? Because the market is crazy. We're even thinking about selling, but what they're offering is like, are you crazy?
Right.
So what marketing strategies are you using to get these houses sold?
Right. So I believe out of sight, out of mind, right? We hear that phrase. So, and I kind of changed that when I thought about that phrase. I heard it recently, a couple months ago. I'm like, so out of sight, out of mind, right? So when you think about your business and when you think about what you're doing, if you're out of sight, you're literally out of the mind of people. So one, I think it's very important as an agent to be present to all people.
Okay.
Because when I do have a house for sale or when I do put something up, I get a lot of likes. I may get people engaging, because I'm consistently in their site.
Gotcha.
So I do think one of the marketing things for sure that every agent has to be on is social media.
It's social
right?
media.
I know that sounds, but it's just
It's
what
the way
it
of the
is.
world now.
It is.
Everything and everyone's on social media.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and you do stay very, very active. A lot of posting. That's how I was able to see the one today. And so you've been doing real estate how many years?
So I've been licensed 10 years.
Okay.
But I like to say that I really committed to a business in the last 3 years.
In the last 3 years.
Right.
That's a lot. So I don't mean that negative. That's a lot that you decided that you wanted to do. What motivates you daily to keep getting up and finding these houses and meeting with these people? I mean, do you have to?
Energy drinks.
Yes.
What motivates me?
Yeah.
Coffee.
Coffee.
And no kidding. No, I'm not even really a big coffee drinker. No, what motivates me is my why, right? And my why has changed over the years. So it's a lot of it is my family, being able to be in that position. And I don't have any children, personally.
Because we don't need
Oh, really?
No babies.
Welcome. No.
And I like that you're smiling. Some of us get sad about it, but you're like, yay, I love it.
And people ask me that all the time, like, well, why don't you have, my mom used to, when you gonna have kids? At one point I had to be like, listen, okay, are you gonna babysit? But no.
Right?
No, but to be honest, it's one of those things where I've actually had conversations. Now, younger, when I was like 27, I remember thinking I really wanted children, right? But now I'm content. I'm content with, and I have a beautiful life, right? Do I have issues? Do things come up? Yes. Do problems happen? But when I tell you, I am probably the happiest I've ever been in these last few years of my life ever.
Love that.
And it took a lot to get to this place. And that's why I say the last 3 years, because it was overcoming imposter syndrome. It was like, can you really do this? Who are you? Right? So it took a lot of self-identity for me to know, one, who I was, not just who I was, but who I was in God and what He called me, versus other things, negative things that probably me more than anything told myself. Right? So
Thank you for sharing that, because there's a lot of women who watch, and sometimes we think we have to have certain things in order to succeed, in order to be happy. But what you just qualified for them is take time with yourself, get to know yourself, and be happy wherever you are in life.
And I'm gonna tell you, and with that, and with the children thing too, it's like the stuff I was able to do, the things I'm able to do right now for my nieces and nephews, for my family, for friends, for my team, I know I would not be able to do if I had children, right? So I feel like it's a blessing either way, because I'm still able to pour into a next generation,
Right.
and other generations where I'm still able to make an impact and be fruitful, because, and we're saying being fruitful and multiply, but I'm also multiplying the Spirit of God and who we're supposed to be in my everyday life and action. So that's multiplying, so.
You're the second person to say that. My husband and I had this conversation a few weeks ago, and that's the scripture he used. He said everybody thinks that means children, but it means so much more, because God did not make everyone to have children.
Yes.
But we digress. Let's get back to real estate.
Okay.
What was one of the first memorable, successful moments in real estate that you remember that made, and every now and then you're like, yes, I remember. 'Cause you're smiling.
Man, I know, right? So, okay, I got to go with the most evident, obvious one, right? Which was when I was able to do the HGTV, My Lottery Dream Home. That was one of my biggest moments, for sure.
That's what I was waiting for. So tell us about that. How did that come about?
Listen, when I tell you, so I said, when it's just, I can't say the strategy to success, I do believe is hard work and consistency, right? I just think it's two things you got to commit to. But I also know there's favor. And I just got a call.
You just got
I got a call. I had a listing and I got a call and I thought it was a joke. The lady was like, hey, she left a voicemail. As a matter of fact, I was with another client and she left a voicemail. Hey, this is such and such with HGTV, blah, blah, blah. So I'm listening to the voicemail. I'm like, no way. So I ended up, the clients that I was with, I'm like, guys, I apologize, but I think this is HGTV calling me. I'm like, give me a moment. They're like, go.
Yeah, go.
And yeah, it was one of the ladies she wanted to film one of the listings that I had. And they also needed an on-camera agent, but they were interviewing like 3 or a couple. And so they gave me the opportunity to be one of the ones that actually, I guess you can say auditioned or whatever for it. And then I got the call that said that I was the agent that was chosen for the on-camera opportunity.
It's your house too, It was your house anyway. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How did that change your life in real estate?
It did. I actually met, I forget what they call the people who are like, for the king and queen, you may have to edit this part, but they call them something, the ones who work for Queen Elizabeth, like the ones, they call it's a certain name, but one of the dignitaries or someone.
We'll use dignitaries,
okay, we'll use that. It wasn't that prestigious now. It wasn't that much of a prestigious call, but it was someone from the UK who actually called me, who saw me on the show and was like, hey, I'm such and such and blah, blah, blah. And man, that was like mind blowing. So I actually had an opportunity. She came, we had lunch. We met, it was a property she wanted me to do some property management on. So, and to this day, we still like have a connection.
That's
and
awesome.
I've met people from all over, just calls from, hey, I saw you on HGTV.
On HGTV.
I get people texting me, family, people from Africa, like saying things. It's kind of unique.
I'm listening. That is amazing. So it
unique.
did change your world. It made it grow even faster, and you made some connections for life.
Yeah.
And when you talk about real estate, you have an MBA from UCF. How did that help? Did it help with your real estate ventures?
So, when I first got my MBA, one of it I was inspired by my grandfather who's passed on. He would always say, that's a big piece of paper. Back get that paper. So I was inspired by him. He was the one, he knew I always had a business mindset. But I think it helped in a way because it literally has, to me, education is important. I know some people don't like going to college or they don't believe you have to go to college to be successful, which you don't. But I do believe education expands your thinking, your way of doing things. Like there are things from my MBA class and course that I remember taking that I have been able to implement within my business. I learned about triple net leases, commercial things within my MBA program.
You said triple what?
Triple net leases.
See?
Like
only MBA people know that.
It's commercial lingo. And
Okay.
I haven't even tapped into the commercial side, but that is what the MBA kind of has brought me. And then it's conversation. Some people ask me, just like you, like, well, hey, I see you got an MBA. Where did you get your MBA? Blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And so
When you look at education in real estate, like you say, you don't necessarily need it. Would you suggest someone who's interested in becoming a realtor and a broker, would you suggest from your experience, college?
I wouldn't necessarily suggest that it has to be college. And if it's not college, it has to be some form of education. Right, you have to expand your vocabulary. You got to be able to think differently from what you know and what's the norm. And the only way you do that, honestly, is through knowledge, and that is reading. Like when people become doctors, when people become lawyers, whatever their career is, people have to go to school or they learn through some level or reading some book. So even if you don't do college, find every single book that you can on real estate so that you can know how to have those conversations. And people won't question whether you went to college or not, because when you open your mouth,
you got the lingo.
There you go.
You've been studying.
Yeah.
So you do commercial and residential. What's the difference? I know we all know the basic difference, but is the process different when you're doing the brokering part? Is it different when the contracts? What's the difference?
It is. Commercial is different. Now, you can still do commercial with the license that I have.
Okay.
But it goes back again to that education part, because commercial, they don't necessarily write contracts in the beginning. They do LOIs. Like a lot of times they'll do letter of intents.
Okay.
Meaning I intend to buy this, and then here are my terms. Right. And so, but with regular residential, we write our offers on an actual as-is contract that's already been pre-printed by the state of Florida realtors, blah, blah, blah. And then commercial, it's also the same thing as far as the lingo. Do you know what triple net leases are, right? Do you know what the common areas, the square footage they charge, sometimes price per square foot? So it's a totally different beast. And people have tried to jump into it. I did one time, and I said, okay, let me come on home. Let me get on back till I read a couple more books.
Before you went back out there.
Yeah, so, and I could do it, honestly, because of just some of my expertise, but I like to really stick with what I know, because what I know, I feel confident being able to represent somebody.
That's right. That's some skills, and those good skills when you know
skill.
what you know.
Yeah.
So when we were at your office, you said, I said, what are some things someone doesn't know about? You said, I do investing. Let's talk about investing. What kind of investing? Any type of investing? Real estate investing?
I've done, I guess, I don't want to be, I'm not fancy. Let me just say that. I've done some stock marketing, of course, stock market. I've invested into that. I made some money in crypto. I've actually made a couple thousand with crypto. I was surprised.
Really?
I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. Just threw something at it, and then I'm like, okay, so this is what we do. But so crypto, but my biggest thing is in real estate, of course, my investing in that, like rentals, short-term rental, and also have like a 16 unit, like different things like that. Like I do multifamily, things like that. And so I find that is the safest route for me, because real estate goes up and down. Right. But that trend line is always still going up. Even though the prices you may see year over year, it does this up, down market, but it's always up,
Let's go there. Explain that, because we're on the other side, homeowners, right? We don't have the real estate license. We're not in there, and we're like, the market is plummeting. That's all we see. Right. But you're saying it's still always moving. Explain that for us.
Okay.
Or to me.
Okay. So when you think back on, like in the 70s, like the house that I own, I kind of bought for my family. My grandfather bought that house for $35,000. Wow. Right? In 1978. So if we just start there with that trend line, it's here. And from 1978, of course, I wasn't born, and I'm almost certain you can think back on historically how the market could have trended, how it went up and it went down. And then we get to, if I fast forward to where I have the most experience, like 2006, 2008, where the market plummeted. Yes. Right? So it completely just bottomed out. And I got into the business in 2014, and I remember my first house sale was $50,000. A 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Yeah, exactly.
In 2014?
In 2014, I sold a house for $50,000. And I remember it was like, and I thought that was it. And I had an investor I met. We were doing flips in the Pine Hills area.
Already in 2014?
In 2015. Now, 2015 is when I met my investor, and I've been working with him since then. He was the one who kind of got me on the investment, knowing what, watching him. 2015, houses max were like 85 in Pine Hills, because that was my sweet spot. He would flip them, put them back on the market. The most we could sell them for no more than 100. Okay. So you saw the trend line. So when you go back from the 78s, it's at 35. But when we think about 2008, it plummeted. Yet the market is still back up. Right. Right. So we see it go up, down, up, down. But if we go from the 1978 and we're here at 2024, we're still, the prices up here. So it's a trend line that's happening. So yeah, it goes up and down with prices, how they fluctuate. But for me, real estate is a long-term game. You really can't, you can do short-term if it's flips, but as far as to really see your investment, it's a long-term game, because you got to be able to weather the storms.
Got to go through the ups and downs. Yeah. 3 years, you've been focused on the real deal. How much has the real estate market changed from before you became your own broker, your own agent, to 5 years ago?
5 years ago, what's this, 5 years ago, 2019, big time. I bought my first house, my own personal house, This is gonna be funny, right? This is full. So it's funny you asked this.
Yes.
I bought my house 2018 for $130,000. My first one in 2018. I was there yesterday getting ready to sell it, and for $330.
What? Why do you?
So that's 5 years. Now, where can you invest? How much could you be able to save? Right? What could you have done
Nothing.
in 5 years? Right? So when we really think about that, in 5 years to be able to make an investment 135 and then be able to make almost 200,000.
Yeah.
Right? In 5 years.
In 5 years. So real estate is, okay, for me, real estate is the way to go. Like you said, it's long-term wealth. It's
Sure.
going to, okay. Let me share this with you. Dwayne and I were both studying real estate. He was doing Florida and I was studying the Georgia market.
Okay.
And then everything started to go crazy when we had to relocate. So now you got me thinking we might need to get back in that. You offer classes?
I guess I can't. I do. I'll be teaching a class this whole month, but in my at the market center that I'm at now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, to me, when you say get back in it, like investing or like being an actual agent?
No, being an agent, but
Okay.
also investing. I'm sorry, y'all seeing me look over there because Dwayne's over there. We're also thinking about investing too. We want to. It's time.
Okay, so now there's two sides to that. It's
Okay.
one thing to be the investor, the buyer, and the seller, and there's a whole nother feat to be the agent. Because it is definitely shifting now, because I don't know if you heard, even the way agents are being paid is now changing.
Tell us what's going on.
Okay, so this is a big one. So if you haven't bought your home yet, the NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors, they just put out, it was a lawsuit, and I'm sure some of the listeners will probably heard of it. So there was a lawsuit against realtors with the commission because there was an industry, what the allegation, let me say that, was that saying that to sell a home was 6% was standard is not how you're supposed to word the commission. The commission has always been negotiable. So now, because we've always said over the years, 6% is what agents charge. So Supreme Court, all of this. So now, no longer can a buyer's agent be. You can't. So on the MLS, there's usually a commission is usually shown what I would get as the buyer's agent who represents you.
Okay.
Now there will no longer be commission offered to a buyer's agent. Wow. So the buyer agent now has to have the conversation with their buyer and say, yes, I'm going to represent you on this home, and this is how much you have to pay me to represent you on this home.
And that gives the buyer the opportunity to say yes or no if I want to move forward.
Correct. But here's the challenge though. Most buyers don't have an extra 3% of a purchase price, because the typical price, commission is 3%.
Right.
Well, let me not say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scratch it.
Negotiable. 2 to 3, 1, 2, 3%. But honestly, buyers, in the past were not seen as having to pay the commission, is how people would word it.
Oh, okay. So that's the difference, the words.
That's the difference, yeah. Now buyers are going to sit at the table. I am going to sit with you no longer and tell you that a seller is paying my commission. I'm going to say to you, you have to pay my commission.
There's the difference. Uh-huh. All right. Somebody else that knew you were coming on told me to ask this, and I'm glad because 4 or 5 of them are in our neighborhood. What's going on with these brand new constructions, brand new homes, 4 or 5 bedrooms, but they're only for rent? Are these investors? Are these banks? Are you familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on?
I wish when you said what was happening 5 years ago, in 2018, 2019, I remember when my investor was doing flips, soon as I would put a property on the market, it was so low key. I was getting full price cash offers from hedge funds. These conglomerate of businesses, they were buying the properties cash. 2019, 2018. This was before COVID, any of that. And we couldn't, I kept asking my investor, I'm like, man, these people paying top dollar for cash. But of course, somebody always know what's happening. So these hedge funds, they knew when to invest. They invested right before the market flew and went 27% up over, value in these last couple of years. But so yeah, I mean, they're now taking the market share of ownership, because who's going to have the control? Usually people, if you think about 90% of the millionaires that we know, of course, they've gotten their wealth through.
Right.
So if I can, and I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy or anything like that, but if they know that's where the wealth is, then they take all the wealth, and now you keep us as renters, the consumers as renters.
I like
don't
how
own
you.
anything.
I like how you dress that up. We're not going to say negative. To me, I'm like, I am upset about it.
The handwriting's on the wall. Like, you got to, this is why I tell people, take possession, own the land. They're not building any more land. That's why it's so valuable, you know, and somebody's getting it. And somebody's not.
These hedge funds getting it. Hope y'all paying attention. She's giving us some gems today because I'm going home and we're going to be doing some talking.
Okay.
What advice would you give to anyone looking to purchase a structure, whether it's land, a brand new or used home in today's market? What's the best way to go?
One, take your time, right? Be anxious for nothing, right? And so you want to make sure that, you know, before you build a house, count up the costs, right? Because the economy, inflation, everything is really high. And, you know, and we already see, honestly, some people facing not being able to pay their mortgage payment.
Right.
For the reasons that you're saying. These interest, the taxes are up, insurances are crazy right now in Florida. So some people are not underwater because of the value, it's because of the payment. So if anybody's out and you're looking to buy, make sure you, one, know your budget. Now we just added someone on our team where if we have a client and they're looking to buy, we let you go through him first and let him put together a budget for you. If that's something you want to do, we'll put together a budget and say, hey, this is how much house you can afford. Before you just jump out there and the bank tell you can afford a $2,800
Right.
payment, you know. And of course, and to me, it's like, well, you might be biting your own hand off, right, as an agent, because what if their budget doesn't say $2,800? But I just wouldn't feel good because I just know how this economy is. I know it's the have and the have-nots. I know what happened in 2008 and the people who were left behind, the people who lost, you know, so much. So I say, make sure you know your budget, right? To get the right realtor, the real deal firm.
Call Ashlee.
Shameless plug. Get the right realtor that knows the areas. Think about schools, think about growth, think about what's happening in the areas, if there is potential for more, you know, what's happening around that area. Like there's a lot of great things happening in Claremont, different areas around the Central Florida area. So get familiar with that. That way you're safe, because here's the reality.
Tell me.
Your property value at some point probably will go down, right? If you're in there long enough, you'll probably see that wave when I was talking about, you know, up and down. But if you're in the right area, in the right communities, you won't see it as much as others, you know. So just be mindful of where you invested, where you live, and be okay with not getting everything you're supposed to have on the first house.
Okay.
Right? Because here I am, finna sell the first one to be able to do something more with something even better.
Thank you for saying that, because I'm hearing a lot of things on Instagram, TikTok, talking about your forever home. Do you believe in forever homes?
Absolutely not.
Me neither.
Absolutely. Well, I maybe I got commitment issues right now with houses. So, you know, maybe I'm not the one to speak. But my strategy, one of my strategies in this free game is, as an investor, and because I don't have children, my max time of staying in a home is 3 to 5 years.
Love it.
Right. And so what I would do is take that home, because usually when you buy an investment property, you got to put 20% down. Right. But if you buy a primary home, the max usually is 5%. So if I'm living in my home now, I go to the bank and I say, hey, I'm going to go buy another primary home. Bank says, okay, yes. So now when I go to buy that new home, all I have to do is put 5% down, and then I turn the previous home into the investment home. Not the new one, but the one you're moving out of. So you keep the low rate that you got on this, you keep that one there, the payment, and now you keep that as the investment. So you move to this one, and then you just keep doing it like that. You keep going and only have to put 5% down as opposed to 20% to start your investments.
We're going to be talking with Ashlee. I'm not as scared as I was earlier. I was really nervous. We were talking. I was really nervous about this market, but I'm hopeful. AI. Do you use AI in real estate? Does it help positively, negatively? Or are you using AI anyway?
Listen, if you Google the average income for the Black American home in the next 30 years, it says 0. So it's projected that by the year 2050, the average income for the Black American home will be 0, right?
What?
Let that sink in. Part of that is tied to the fact, I believe, now I could be wrong. So part of that I do believe is what we know, and I think it'll be technology. So if you're not learning AI, or if you're not putting yourself in a position to be acclimated with the advancements, you will be left behind, because they will no longer need people for a lot of things. It's all technology based.
That's right.
So your business, so yes, and we're continually, wanting to add AI now. It's hard, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. But I think you got to have your mind on it. You got to know, because, in probably the next 30 years, you probably won't even be saying hello to me. All our conversations will be through the
so something we might
flying on saucers.
Exactly.
So you know what I mean. Just so yes,
staying up with the trends, and always make sure you're moving forward. And we shared this on the For the Record podcast. Learn what AI needs. Like, don't just learn a computer skill. That Microsoft and Excel, that's done away with. Learn AI. Yeah. Right. Learn what it needs. So
that's good.
Tell the people, or tell me, because you just gave me a wealth of knowledge. Who are some role models? I know you say your grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
He saw it in you to be an entrepreneur. But who else in your life contributes to Ashlee being a boss lady?
Names or generalities?
However you want to spill it.
Okay, definitely my grandfather, who's gone on, and my grandmother too. They raised me. So I have a number of people that I admire, right? So I'll probably be having like a whole list. But a few things for me, because of some of my story and things that I've overcome, are people who I see that are very resilient. People that I've seen that have come from tough situations, and my mom is one of those people now too, from her past into who she's become today. I actually take the time, to be honest, to hire the people who I admire and I want to pour into me. And by that I mean, like, I have an executive coach. She's also my pastor, amazing woman of God that I admire her speaking. I also have an investment coach. He's also a man of God, but he does investment. I have a real estate coach. So I have a few people. Now, here's the thing, though. I haven't seen anybody like me. And I don't know if that's arrogant.
No,
but it's
say it again. I love it.
It's like, you look for, like, who's doing what I'm trying to do so that I can do that. And I haven't seen it. So there's so many people. And I learned, even honestly, just from meeting you in that moment. I'm a sponge. Like, I've been inspired just by you, and not even maybe knowing your story, but the tenacity, and I know what it takes to do business. So I know what the nights and the tears and the sweat and the money and the, and the quits and the I'm done. And we don't got to do it. No. I can only imagine. So, for me, it's a lot of my close friends and people that I intentionally put around me to help mold me to where I'm trying to go.
I love that. That's beautiful, the way you structured that. That's lovely. Your grandparents raised you. Your mom is now coming into her own and her light. Okay. This is I'm in such a good mood here with you. Like, the energy in here is so, I can't find the word yet, but it feels like I've known you forever, and we're just vibing here. Yeah. So who are some women you would like to shout out so that they can be a guest here on the Boss Ladies podcast?
Okay, how many? Because I got like 6. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. Okay, so one, how many?
2 to 3.
Okay, so one, I got to shout out my best friend, Ashlee Jackson. She has a family child care center that she is developing and expanding, called The Early Years in Lakeland, Florida. Doing some amazing things. She's another one that has overcome imposter syndrome, resilience. I mean, her story is amazing to see where she's developed, for sure.
Awesome.
And then I'll probably, honestly, I have to shout out my executive coach, and that's Pastor Tikoa Pori. She is she pastors with her husband for Acceleration Church.
Okay.
Another powerful woman. Listen, you bring her in here, the roof is off. I'm just telling you. So those are 2 for sure that I know who are boss ladies and are like intentional and walking in what they're doing. I have many others, but I know
those 2. Okay. Well, I look forward to hearing from. Well, I'm going to be reaching out. I'm going to get your information. Any questions for me?
Yeah, I mean, so what keeps you what inspires you and what keeps you going and wanting to even do this for Boss Ladies?
Oh, well, my story, I shared a little bit from my upbringing wasn't an easy one. It was very toxic, dysfunctional. Dwayne witnessed a lot of that for the last 20 years being married. And I've always wanted to do something positive. I always want to keep moving forward no matter what's going on. So when we moved back, like I said, here and we opened this, he always knew that I'm a girl's girl. He always knew that the friends that I did have around me, that's who I needed to help keep me going. So he said, baby, it's your time. Do something for you. Make it business. So if this is what we do, and I love highlighting women, I came up with the Boss Ladies because we're the Boss Move Studio.
Yeah.
And women are making the boss moves too. So that's what keep me going. Not having that and enjoying it now, having a circle of friends that, I'm really holding back tears here because it's been a rough road. Even the last year, I wanted to quit.
I know.
You said your mom got better. My mom got worse. We don't even talk anymore. So I wanted to make sure that I created a space for women to be safe, for women to be happy of who they are. As you said earlier, I don't have kids. I'm happy about them, embracing my life. I wanted to put a spotlight on women who were helping other women, who were out there really changing lives, their own lives and the lives of other people. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Seeing us as women encourage each other and keep moving, like no matter what. That's what keeps me moving, the women around me.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Because this is inspiring. Honestly, it made me so that that your journey, it definitely is not in vain. The simple fact for an invitation of somebody wanting to hear your story, right? And this means a lot to me, and it made me excited. And I was like, wow, someone actually, because you deal with that imposter syndrome. So you're creating that space for women who probably don't always feel like a boss. Right. And so when they sit here and they know they're on the Boss Ladies, like, okay, well, I am a boss.
You are a boss.
Okay. So thank you for that affirmation, because that's what you're doing. You're affirming women who haven't been affirmed or probably need that affirmation. And so this is definitely ministry in what you're doing. So keep going.
Thank you. I will. And that
you and your husband, I ain't gonna leave him out now. I know he working hard.
He always there. It's that imposter syndrome. It's real, right? Because all of my life, even as a child and teenager, women always come to me. They're pouring out, and Dwayne can tell you, I don't even know you. I can meet a woman, and I'm like, okay, well, Lord, that's you. It has nothing to do with me, and I want to make sure I use the gift that He gave me. So, thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you.
This was a very beautiful episode of the Boss Ladies podcast. I'm a little emotional. I'm not going to let it out on the camera. So I will see you all next time. And remember, ladies, we can do whatever we want as long as we keep moving forward. See you later.
Making moves, no time for insecurity. No time. We're chasing dreams, creating legacies. Boss Ladies podcast where we speak up.